Hey you guys, hey, I'm here in Bear Lake, and I've been wanting to tell you guys this really fun story that's been part of me and part of my heart for a long time. So when I first started guiding you guys, I didn't have anything, and I found an old canoe in a dumpster, and I actually pulled the old canoe out of the dumpster and refurbished it. And that was the first boat that I had to guide people on this big lake with. And then as I started growing with my outfitter, I started upgrading my equipment, my gear, and anyway, I ended up buying about a 22-foot long custom wheel jet boat. And it was an awesome boat, and it was all enclosed and super nice. And so then I was able to start attracting a better clientele, and I was able to take more people. I could legally only take 6 people. So anyway, I had a Girl Scout troop. The Girl Scout troop masters called me, and they wanted to book a trip for 12 Girl Scouts, and I could only take 6 at a time, and they wanted to harvest a bunch of fish to have a fish fry, to teach the Girl Scouts about harvesting something from the wild and about how you could, eat something from the wild and survive on the wild if you needed to. So anyway, the Girl Scout regulations is they have to have 2 Girl Scout leaders for every troop, and so I could take 4 Girl Scouts in my jet boat and 2 Girl Scout leaders. So the plan was that we would do it in groups. We'd take 4 Girl Scouts out per time with 2 leaders per time, and we were going to let each Girl Scout keep 1 fish apiece to take for a fish fry for that night. So anyway, I met them at the Utah Marina here on Bear Lake, and I loaded up the boat, and I had 4 Girl Scouts and 2 leaders, and we went all the way across the lake to the east side. Those mountains you can see all the way across, that would be the east side, and that's typically where the best fishing is on Bear Lake. And so we went over there, and I put down the gear, and we caught 4 fish in no time. All the girls caught a nice fish, and they all got a reel in a beautiful Bear Lake cutthroat trout, and we even got 1 lake trout with that group. So anyway, then we came back in, and you guys, I'm a big believer in Heavenly Father does things for a reason, and I'm a big believer in tender mercies, which one of my friends named Sandor brought to my attention. But anyway, I had this really special dog that I'm sure Heavenly Father sent to me, and he was a yellow Labrador, and his name was Trooper. And you know how they use dogs that can sense people that have handicaps, or people that are going into a seizure, or all the different things that the dogs, like a service dog. Well, Trooper was like that, and Trooper had this really special gift for healing people. And I have so many stories about all the people that Trooper healed during the course of his life. But anyway, this is a story about a little girl that he healed. So anyway, the second group of Girl Scouts I took out, there was a little girl named Chloe, and she was a cute little girl. She had curly red hair, and she had this big smile, and she was all excited to go fishing, and Trooper took to her immediately, you guys. We were driving my jet boat across this lake, and Chloe just went over and put her arms around Trooper, and they just became friends right out of the gate. And Trooper could sense that Chloe had such a true heart, and she was such a little sweetheart, that he just fell in love with her immediately. So anyway, we got to the other side, and we hooked this great big blue-nose cutthroat. He was about, maybe 5 or 6 pounds. And so I gave Chloe the rod, and she started reeling the fish in, and she was all smiles and giggly, and Trooper was standing on the side of the boat next to her. He was watching and acting like he was part of the group. And anyway, we got the fish up, and where I knew we were going to harvest fish, well, I just grabbed the fish, pulled it in the boat, and gave it the wood shampoo and bonked it, put it out of its misery. And when that happened, it sprayed blood on Chloe and around the boat, and Chloe was just devastated by it, you guys. She was absolutely devastated. She immediately dropped the rod, and she went up into the front of the boat, and she just started crying. And Trooper went right up there with her and laid his head on her knees while she was sitting there. and he was there for her, and she was saying, Trooper, how come he had to kill that fish? How come he had to kill something so beautiful? How come he did that? And she was just beside herself, you guys. So anyway, it was a bad situation, and I should have known better than to do that, but I just figured, you know, the scout leaders wanted to harvest some fish, and I didn't want the fish to suffer, so I bonked the fish, which is normally what I do to put them out of their misery quick. So anyway, Chloe wouldn't come to the back of the boat. She stayed up in the front of the boat, and Trooper stayed right with her, and Trooper knew that she was just beside herself. So anyway, we let the other 3 girls catch their 1 fish, and we came back in, and then we took the other troop out, the 4 more girls, and they all caught their 1 fish, and we came back in, and we didn't have any issues with any of them. They were all happy to catch a fish, and everything went good. Well, it's not like I talk to dogs, or I know dogs don't talk to us, but in a sense, with our animals, we have like a silent language. So when we brought that last troop of girls in, we dropped them off, and Trooper came up to me, and he looked me right in the eye, and I could tell that this was his silent language, and he was telling me, in other words, Jimmy, we messed up, and we have devastated this girl. We have caused something traumatic to this girl, Chloe, and we've got to do something about this to fix this situation. And I just knew that's what Trooper was saying. And even though he wasn't speaking it, he was telling me it, and it was a tender mercy from Heavenly Father. I to this day believe that Heavenly Father had a hand in this, and he knew that Trooper had a silent language with me. So I got thinking about it, and I decided, okay, we're gonna do something about this. So me and Trooper, we walked over to the scout leaders, and Trooper immediately went to Chloe, and Chloe was just sitting on the picnic table all by herself, and she was still really devastated. And I talked to scout leaders, and I told them what had happened and what I thought needs to be done about it, and they agreed. Let's get Chloe back in the boat, and let's get her back out there fishing. Let's catch her another fish, and let's have her let the fish go. So that's exactly what we did, and we talked Chloe into it. She did not want to go, you guys. She absolutely did not want to go. But I kind of fibbed to her and says, well, Trooper wants you to go out for a boat ride with him and do a little more fishing. So anyway, that's what we did. So we went back across the lake, and Chloe hooked up another great big huge fish. This one was probably about 7 or 8 pounds, and she was so worried I was going to kill this fish, I could just tell. And so I says, Chloe, I says, okay, now when this fish comes in, I says, I want you to lean over the boat and just put your hands down, and I'm going to guide this fish into your hands, and I'm going to take the hook out of its mouth, and then you're going to let it go. And her whole attitude changed, you guys. So I brought this fish in, and the sun was just starting to go down. It was absolutely stunning, beautiful, and this blue nose cutthroat had the sun rays coming off of it, and it was almost like it was heavenly, how beautiful this fish was. So anyway, I dragged this fish into Chloe's hands, and I took the hook out, and I says, okay, now just hold him there and just let him go and let him do his thing. And all of a sudden, kersplash, and this big old fish took off, and it splashed Chloe, and she had the smile on her face, you guys, that was bigger than this entire Bear Lake. It was absolutely the biggest smile I think I've ever seen in my life. And she was just relieved that we had let that fish go. So I explained to Chloe that, Chloe, there's a time to harvest things, because Heavenly Father put those things here for us to harvest, to nourish and strengthen our bodies to carry on His will. And so she says, I want to do it again. Jim, can I do it again? Trooper, can you tell Jim that we got to catch another fish? And so we did, you guys. We caught 3 more fish, and Trooper was right up there with Chloe the whole time, and we let 3 more fish go, and Chloe finally kind of understood the point of harvesting a fish, but also being able to let a fish go back to the wild. And it was just an amazing, amazing tender mercy from Heavenly Father that made this happen through Trooper, which I really truly believe that he knew how devastated Chloe was. So anyway, we loaded up the boat and the sun was going down, and I says, Chloe, how about you and Trooper drive the jet boat home, drive us back to the marina? So I'll be darned, that little teeny girl got behind that great big jet boat, and she took off, and that jet boat cruised about 52 miles an hour. So anyway, I told her, get it up to where the nose drops down, and then pull off on the throttle, and because we don't need to be going this fast, because first off, she didn't really know how to drive a boat of that magnitude. So anyway, she got it up on a step, and she had her one arm around Trooper and her other hand on the steering wheel, and she drove us all the way back to the marina, and she was all smiles, you guys. It was an unbelievable, successful story. So we got back in, and Chloe just went running to all of the other Girl Scouts and says, we caught 4 great big fish, and we let them all go, and they're swimming for another day, and they're all healthy and happy, and they were the most beautiful fish in the whole world. And so it was just amazing. And she came over and she gave Trooper a great big hug, and she says, I love you, Trooper. And then she comes up to me and says, thank you so much, Jim, for doing that. Now I understand. And she went over and got a plate of fish that the other Girl Scouts had caught, and she didn't have any problems eating something that we had harvested after that. And it was amazing, you guys, because probably 10 years ago, she got a hold of me, and she told me about that situation, how devastated she was, and she asked if Trooper was still alive, and Trooper had been passed away for many, many years now. And she told me how much that meant to her and how much it made her understand what Mother Nature was all about. And I just wanted to share that story with you guys about Chloe. And it was so funny, you guys, when that big cutthroat went peeling out of her hands and splashed her, and she had that curly hair, and it straightened her hair out, and it was just straight down over her face, but it didn't matter because her smile shined right through that red hair going over her eyes and her face. And anyway, it was a real special story for me to tell you guys, and this is where it all happened, right here in Bear Lake, Utah. And I just wanted to share something that's been close to my heart for many years. And Trooper's been gone now forever, but all these stories are in a book I wrote called True Friends Are Heaven Sent, you guys. And there's a lot of true stories about Trooper healing people. Another one he healed was a kid that was autistic, and that's a whole nother story. But anyway, I want to share that fun story with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and hope you enjoy this beautiful place we're in. And I am freezing my behind off, you guys, out here. It is cold. So I'm headed back to the truck, but want to share that story with you guys. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I do, and enjoyed thinking about it and remembering Trooper and Chloe and that wonderful day fishing with the Girl Scouts. And sending you guys a great big smile from this frozen wonderland here in Bear Lake, Utah. You guys have an awesome day. Okay, see you guys. Bye.